Warning: the following video contains explicit language which may be offensive to some viewers or inappropriate for children. The content within this video is intended for mature audiences only.
To be lying in real time about what this video shows and about what was happening. They couldn't possibly have even gathered the facts that they claim to be representing to the public, but they also starkly contradict what we're all seeing with our own eyes. Look, if this were a properly functioning Justice Department, the investigation, the federal investigation into all of these officers would have already begun. They'd be detained on the site, probably by the FBI, maybe in a joint operation with local officials. But I see, from what we have seen, no justification for this man's death. He appears to have been killed for exercising his constitutional rights.
We got to talk about what's happening in Minneapolis. I was fully planning on having a cute, normal Saturday with my dog, but our government has just executed another U.S. citizen doing something that we all do every other week. And his name was Alex Jeffrey Pretti. He was 38 years old. He was employed by the Department of Veterans Affairs. He was a graduate of the University of Minnesota. He held a valid permit to carry a firearm. He was a United States citizen, and more videos show that he was trying to help de-escalate the situation and was already disarmed when he was shot and killed. According to people who were there, Alex saw federal agents going after two women, and he stepped in to help them. That's what this was all about. We had a nurse trying to protect people. And here's what happened. And I really need you to listen to these details because they matter. And this is coming directly from reputable sources on the ground and in the news. I am a commentator, not a journalist. I share what I read. So Saturday morning, federal agents are running an immigration enforcement operation on Nicollet Ave. According to witnesses, Alex sees agents going after two women, and he steps in to help. There's video, there's multiple angles. You can watch this man die. And an officer shoves somebody, a person in a brown jacket holding a water bottle, which protesters use to rinse their eyes when they are attacked with chemical weapons. Alex reaches out to that person. They grab onto each other. Alex appears to then raise his phone, probably filming. Then the officer pushes Alex hard in the chest and they both fall. The video cuts briefly. When someone comes back, at least 7 officers are surrounding Alex. One has him restrained from behind. Another is holding a canister and starts striking him, first in the chest multiple times, then near his head over and over. Then you hear a gunshot. Officers scatter and Alex is lying there in the street, motionless, and he's dead. And a woman is screaming, "Call the ambulance. What the fuck did you do?" over and over because she just watched our government kill him. Secret police forces, they never stay limited to their original purpose. They are always going to expand. First, we saw them attack our immigrant neighbors. Now we're seeing them attack more violently and kill protesters. Next week, journalists, school children, political opponents. If armed agents can grab you, detain you, and shoot you in the face, in the chest, with intent to kill multiple times and face zero consequences, what rights do you actually have? When an armed agent can kill citizens without explaining themselves, without sharing any information with local authorities, without facing any consequences, you don't have rule of law anymore. You have rule by force. And democracy requires accountability. Secret police are designed to avoid all of that. Look what's happening. ICE won't even tell Minneapolis police what went down. They refuse to share information with local police. They answer to nobody except Trump. A parallel power structure running around your city, bypassing every check and balance we're supposed to have. This is what every authoritarian regime does. It's the exact same thing. They create a force that operates outside of normal law enforcement, gives them unchecked power that they can use to terrorize people into compliance. Gestapo, KGB. We're watching masked agents refuse to identify themselves, operate without warrants, and kill without accountability. If that's not state terror, I don't know what the fuck is. There's no gradual slide here anymore. The second you can accept that they can kill citizens without any explanation, you've already lost. There's no middle ground here. There is none. You're either a democracy with the rule of law or you're not. Because this is only about demographics and economics. Let's say it plainly. Let me say this for you so you understand. This is about making America whiter. This is about removing brown people. This is about terrorizing immigrant communities so we can make a bunch of for-profit prisons and the people who own them richer. And so we can make people so afraid that they leave and that the government gets to change who gets to be here. Alex Pretti saw two women who needed help and he didn't look away. He didn't wait for somebody else to step in. He understood something fundamental, which is that we only have each other. The federal government isn't going to protect us from federal agents. The people with power aren't going to hold themselves accountable. They're betting on us being too scared, too isolated, and too worn down to stand together. Alex showed us what it means to protect your neighbors. And now, as details continue to come out and more video continues to come out, we need to protect his memory and everyone who comes after him. So what I need you to do is I need you to make sure you're talking to your neighbors. I need you to make sure you're organizing in your communities, that you show up when ICE comes to your block, that you document and film everything. That if you are a white person, and a white person especially, I need you to stand between the people with guns and the people that they're targeting. Because if we do not protect each other, nobody will. This nurse spent his life saving people. The nurse who spent his life saving people died trying to protect two women from our own government. That's who we lost. This is what they took from us. And fuck ICE, abolish ICE, film the police, show up when ICE comes to your block, be there, document everything, stand between them and your neighbors, make it harder, make it public, be the person Alex was. Unlearn the shit that they taught us about just complying, that they must have done something or it's complicated. No, it's not fucking complicated. Armed agents beat the shit out of a man and killed him. He was a nurse and he was there to help people. Unlearn the reflex to side with power. Do something. Organize your block. Know your fucking neighbors. Have a plan when things come up. Look up your local rapid response number. Find it. Save it. Share this number with your friends. Report sightings. Get trained on your rights, join mutual aid networks, donate to the coalitions doing the work, find the people doing the work and support them. This ends when we end it, not when they decide to stop, not when politicians grow a set of balls or grow a conscience. This doesn't end when the courts intervene. This ends when we make it impossible for them to continue. There are more of us than there are of them. And when the cost of terrorizing our communities is higher than they're willing to pay, the shit will end. We protect each other the way Alex tried to protect those women. And fuck ICE.
Hello, everybody. Another killing, and of a guy who was really just there to try to help, to keep things not violent. But you see, ICE doesn't want to be non-violent, and it's pretty obvious by looking at the video. And again, people in MAGA, as well as officials in the Trump White House are out there trying to say, well, you're not seeing it. You're not seeing why he had to kill the guy. The guy was armed. He was this, he was doing that. He was becoming threatening. Okay, but in that video that I saw, okay, the guy didn't pull out anything. He had a cell phone in one hand and he was telling people to stay back with his other hand. Didn't see a gun in his hand. Now, he may have been carrying a gun, okay, but he had a permit to carry that, okay? So, and he didn't take it out. He didn't take it out. Well, the people on the ground said he didn't take out his gun. And now we got people who think that, oh, well, if he was bringing the gun, then, he was there to shoot. Well, geez, now you guys are sounding like anti-Second Amendment people. First, you say a permit gives you the right to carry that fucking gun anywhere you want, and they shouldn't be, chastised for it. Now, all of a sudden, a guy is carrying a gun. He has a permit for it, and because he brings it to a protest, you think that gives everybody or anyone a chance to shoot him or the right to shoot the guy. Okay, so, you see how the right wing, their fucking thoughts only, what they believe in only applies to the moment, okay? Whenever something turns against them, then all of a sudden their beliefs change with it. That's the difference between Democrats and Republicans, you see, because Democrats, they believe and hold to a certain value and they stick to it. Republicans don't. They only use what argument they think is going to buy them an excuse or get them off of something. That's what they do. And like I said, what MAGA thinks for the most part on a day-to-day basis is really irrelevant because they're the minority. The majority of this country does not like what ICE is doing, and every time somebody gets killed by these people, the rage and the hatred against them grows. Okay, so how is this helping? How is this helping ICE in any fucking way? It sure as hell ain't. I mean, they in Minneapolis, there was a hotel there that these ICE agents were staying at. Somehow these people, the citizens knew they were there. I guess maybe they followed their cars there or something. I don't know. But what they were doing is they had a vigil there. Around at night, they would be circled around the hotel and they would just march around there banging pots, blowing whistles, honking car horns. They were doing this all night long. And they got, the hotel got tired of it because all the other guests who weren't ICE agents that were there are saying, hey, look, I can't sleep because these fucking people are out there making all this racket. So the hotel finally got tired of that and told the ICE agents, you gotta go. You're hurting business here. And now, Fox News and the Trump, White House, they're all pissed off at this hotel. And I'm thinking, well, okay, here's another instance where the Republicans are now flopping on the other side of the argument, where, remember that lady who wouldn't bake a wedding cake for the gay couple there years back? Okay, I can't remember their name. That's, I just remember the incident. And the Democrats were mad at her for not baking their cake. It's like, hey, this is supposed to be your business. Who cares if they're gay? Well, the Republicans are out there saying, well, it's her business. She can do what she wants. Okay, well now we're saying that that this hotel has a right to do what they want, all right, because it's hurting their business, and those people out there, the ICE agents, have to go. It's a private business. The government doesn't control this hotel. I don't know if it was a Hilton or whatever the hell it was. They don't control the hotel, so if they don't want ICE agents staying there, they have every right to do that. So here you go, where we're throwing their fucking words right back at them. Okay? You see what I'm saying about how they flip-flop all the fucking time? Republicans don't know what they stand for. MAGA doesn't really know what they stand for either, because if they knew, they wouldn't have voted for Trump in the first place, but because they thought and believed everything Trump was telling them, they got duped. And they're still paying the price for it. Okay? So I just think that what happened with Alex Pretti, who was the ICU veteran care nurse, I guess is what he was, 37 years old. Same age as the young woman near Good who was shot and killed 2 weeks ago in the same city. Okay, odd coincidence, but all right. This guy wasn't there to start a goddamn fight. Nobody wants to go to these things and get into a gun battle with the fucking agents, okay? You know, if they're there and protesting peacefully, okay, the guy just had the gun on him, which is his Second Amendment right, okay? He had no intention of taking that out. It was just for defense, okay? Because you don't know what you're getting into if you go to one of these protests and ICE is there. I mean, it could end badly. Somebody or a bunch of people are going to get killed here. And the fact that they taunted this man after they shot him dead, and they were, the ICE agent was, good, you know what I'm saying? This fucking this mad dog mentality that they have, okay, which is another indication of no training, okay, because if these people were aware of their surroundings, they would know that 10, 15, 20 people are recording exactly what they're doing. And they would dial back the fucking mad dog attitude just to save face. But they're not helping themselves any. When they cut loose like they did here with Alex and with Renee, it gets circulated around the fucking globe like that, okay? And that's why these people can't win this fight to save face or to restore their honor, because they're honorless. These people don't have any training. They don't know how to handle themselves in a crowd, okay? And now, from what I read here recently, somehow they've been given clearance to actually be able to go into homes without a warrant now, okay? And I say, okay, so who did this? You know, they didn't say any judge or something, but I'm just saying they were given permission from somebody, okay, that they are allowed to go into homes without a warrant, okay? So in other words, even if you shut your door at them or no, they can kick the fucking door in and come in after you. It's just plain old stormtrooper fucking tactics, okay? No, so don't try to convince me these aren't modern day brown shirts, okay? We've gone past that now. We're way past that. These are the brown shirts of the United States. And so, as Trump continues to mirror things in this country like they were in 1940 in Germany, people in America are waking up little by little to the fact that, hey, we're not living in a democracy anymore. We are living in a police state. Okay, before you know it, they're going to start shooting journalists. They're going to start shooting veterans. They're going to start shooting political opponents. Okay, you see what I'm getting at? We're like getting right there. Okay. We're knocking on that door right now, and Trump is not going to pull them back. Now, I heard that the Democrats now want to withhold funding for ICE, and therefore they're willing to shut the government down over it. Well, we know what happened the last time they threatened that. They shut the government down and then they turned around and broke. Okay, so I really got no hope or any faith in the Democrats following through on that threat. Okay, they're just not going to do it. Okay, or if they do, it's not going to last long. Now, this was something that they should have fought over already. Okay, $10 billion to ICE is $10 billion taken out of the mouths of people in this country who need it more. Okay? Seriously. They cut all these fucking programs around us so they could take all that extra money and give it to ICE. Who do you think needs that money more? Answer me. Okay? Who the fuck needs that $10 billion more in this country right now? So, like I'm saying, it's sad that this is where we are now as an American society. It's it's very contemptuous of what this, what the Statue of Liberty, the Constitution, Bill, all those things that make America what it is. It's spitting in the face of all of that. Okay? So people that are out there calling themselves patriotic are anything but. They are not patriotic. They don't even know what that word means, really, when you think about it, when they consider ICE agents to be patriotic. And I'm still getting fucking flack from MAGA out there saying, well, if that guy didn't bring a gun, or if that guy just followed instructions the ICE was giving him, this wouldn't have happened. Okay? Well, they were kicking the shit out of 2 women that were there, and this guy stepped in to try to stop that, to have them dial it back. Okay? This is not right. Okay? Beating up on women is beneath you. Okay? So logic tries to interfere with that, and MAGA's like saying, no, we don't want logic. We want emotion. We want people feeding off their hatred and their anger and taking it out on the public. So, you know what I'm saying? These people are not patriotic. If you think that way, you're not a patriot. You're a goddamn criminal, and you should be in prison, because it's only a matter of time before you're the one that's out there kicking somebody, and shooting them. Because if you're going to okay it for somebody else, then it's okay for you in your mind. So why aren't you out there with ICE? If you think what they're doing is so noble and patriotic and American, why aren't you out there fighting right next to them? Oh, maybe it's just too much work. You have to might get off your ass, even though they'd pay you $50,000 to $60,000. It's better to sit at home in your recliner and just preach from there and not get involved. Okay, this is what MAGA is. They're the armchair politicians. Okay, they would rather be safe in their homes until the truth comes knocking. They'd rather be safe in their homes bitching at everybody else that's complaining about what's going on. Okay, because the hatred, the complaints about ICE, it's making my world very chaotic. I don't like hearing that, so I'm going to tell these people to shut the hell up. Okay, well, I'm sorry if we don't like what your side is doing, and you don't like hearing us bitch about what your side is doing. I'm sorry, but this is what America is about. We're free to express our opinions for the time being, and you might wish one day that you did stand up against them, because it might be you that ICE comes for. All right, and if there's nobody left to speak on your behalf, then you're fucked. So if you want us to shut up, you're taking the gamble that you're going to be absolved or overlooked through all this madness, okay? And if you think there's going to be some special, divine ending here to all this where, it all makes sense now and it was all worth it, you're wrong. That's not going to happen. Nowhere in this fucking world in history has this kind of shit ever came out good in the end. Nowhere. All right? When you prey on people with hatred, okay, and bigotry and stuff like that, and you take away people's rights, the ending is always the same. You have a revolution, you have a civil war. People are only going to take so much of that. And if a civil war is what you want, okay, just keep doing what you're doing. Okay, keep, throwing shit in people's face all the time. Keep saying what you're saying, because that just agitates people all the more. And before you know it, things on the street are going to look worse than they do now, and you're really going to be upset then. Okay, because I see that coming. But yeah, it's sad that this shit happened again. Okay, and it seems like I was saying in a video before, Minnesota, it looks like you're going to be ground zero here for this shit. And, because it looks like they're really coming down hard on your state. I don't know if it's because Tim Walz is the governor, or if it's because, the mayor is standing against what's going on. I don't know for what reason, but somehow Trump, ICE, they seem to take personal offense in that state of things that were done. Okay, And I just think that, you know, things will continue to escalate, as they will here in Maine, because now the fucking people are here too now. I'm sure things will escalate here eventually. But, you know, like I said, it really hinges on people staying united. And that, what I was telling you about that hotel in Minnesota, that's a good way of staying united, okay? Because, you know, if ICE is not going to be welcomed anywhere, then they're really not going to be able to do their job, as you know, at all. If they can't sleep, they'll have to pitch tents somewhere and stay in, you know, in the cold, freezing cold, okay, and freeze their asses off. And I don't think anyone's going to care, you know. And it's just, you know, they created a shitstorm now that really, you know what, karma, you know, it comes back around. The karma will come back around on ICE. Okay, I don't know if these guys really understand that right now, because some of them are really young, I guess, you know, probably in their late 20s, early 30s. But they're going to come to a point in their life where thinking about what they did now is going to haunt them for the rest of their life. Because at some point, they're going to grow up mentally, and they're going to realize that everything that they did was for the wrong reason. Okay? And the guilt they're going to suffer, some of them, you know, they might even, it might be so much they might even take their own life. I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's just like when those veterans from Vietnam came home, okay, a lot of them were just in pieces over the shit that they did. You know, and if things escalate, as I think they will with ICE and the public, a lot of these people are going to be coming home scarred mentally. You know, they're not going to be right after that, and rejected mostly by a lot of people. No one will want to befriend somebody that was a member of ICE, just like kind of the way the Vietnam veterans were treated when they came home. People were spitting on them and everything at the airports. This is going to happen with ICE. This is the kind of shit they're going to face after this is, whenever this is done, okay? When this is settled and whatever, and it becomes part of the past, these people aren't going to be able to escape it. They're going to have to live with it. Their names are going to be known, okay? For some of these people, their faces are already known, and they will be followed. They will be harassed. They will be rejected, okay? And people are going, you know, especially with the internet, people are going to keep, you know, if one of these guys tries to get a job somewhere, the offices will be swamped with people saying, well, this guy was an ICE agent, this guy did this, okay, and they won't get a job. They just don't realize right now how much harm they're doing to themselves by doing this shit now. Okay? They don't know, because right now, I guess what's more important to them is the money they got to do this job. Okay? So $50,000 to $60,000 is all it took for them to buy off their soul and to live the rest of their life hated. Nobody's going to want anything to do with these people. All right? And frankly, I mean, if any of them have any children or something like that, you know, I can only imagine what that's going to do to them. Especially when kids, you know how brutal kids can be. If they find out, oh, your father was an ICE agent, you're a fucking, you know, I've seen that kind of shit happen, okay? So, like I said, this is not good for them, and, you know, right now, these people really ought to be considering, you know, getting out of it, quitting, okay? Because it's not going to be good. The anger in this country is getting to a boiling point. That anger doesn't subside over time. The generation that had to put up with this will carry that anger right to their death. That means even the ICE agents won't outlive it. All right, let's go to a commercial break. We'll be right back.
I'm Alex Curtis. I'm a lobsterman in Maine, and this is me.
I'm Roxy Sugar, and this is me.
I'm Eric Hopkins. I'm an artist, and this is me.
This is me.
Me.
This is me.
This is me.
At the end of the journey, the main thing is you, original.
What's going on in our country right now is absolutely horrific with what the federal government, Trump's government, Kristi Noem, ICE, what they're doing is really the worst of humanity. And then we also have the best of humanity for the way people are showing up for each other in community and Americans coming out to support each other and protect each other and fight against injustice. So I could not be prouder to be American right now by the way the Americans are acting. And I could not be sadder to be American right now with the way the government is behaving.
I voted once for Donald Trump in 2016. I fell for the propaganda. I watched Fox News. I've learned that the right-wing media is nothing but a propaganda machine. Fool me once, shame on me. Fool me twice, shame on you. Fool me every damn day, it's a cult.
And for just like the Republican voters, right, across America who maybe feel like, I've always voted Republican, what would you want to say to those folks?
Step over to your nearest mirror, look yourself in the eye, and ask yourself if the principles, the words, the actions, the behaviors of this administration are actually in line with the teachings of Jesus Christ. Jesus would have stood with the vulnerable and marginalized. He would not have deported them. He would not have persecuted them. He literally stood with the prostitutes and the lepers and the poor, and he wasn't out there selling, saying, Peter, I'm not going to do any more miracles unless you invest in my Jesus meme coin. He was literally serving the poor. Yeah. These people in Washington, D.C. associated with this MAGA GOP, all they're doing is exploiting the poor at the benefit of the billionaires. All of them got to go. Every single sitting Republican in the United States needs to be primaried. What we've seen is an increase of, white supremacy. That's all it is. Point blank, hatred, white supremacy. We got to get these people out of here if we're going to survive this country intact.
Watch Zionist Bill Maher get publicly humiliated at the Golden Globes.
Bill Maher, you give us so much, but I would love a little less. Just try less.
His girlfriend's reaction says it all. Bill Maher's growing unpopularity among his peers isn't a mystery.
Bill Maher, the famous comedian, I've known Bill since I was like 18, 19 years old, and I've never said this publicly, but that guy.
He openly supported Israel's genocide in Gaza, showing open indifference to the mass killing of innocent women and children. Do you think he deserved this public humiliation?
Some people have a deep, abiding respect for the natural beauty that was once this country. And some people don't. People start pollution. People can stop it. Write for Pollution Booklet, Box 1771, Radio City Station, New York.
Be a part of the entertainment value of a lifetime.
I loved it.
It was the best performance I've seen in a lifetime.
I loved the show. I liked it very much. He's a very entertaining man. It's well worth the money.
Now appearing in Charlottetown, coming to Halifax November 6th to the 18th, and St. John November 20th through the 26th.
Okay, welcome back, people. All right, so this next video here I want to play talks a little about how some of these ICE agents that they're hiring, or these people, I should say, that they're hiring to be agents for ICE, have checkered backgrounds. Some of them are out-and-out criminals, okay? Which would explain why some of these people lose their cool at the slightest drop of a hat, okay? I mean, it just, you know, they're not trained, they ain't got the mental discipline, okay? They'd never make it through a military basic training because of their attitude. So these people, these fucking people, they get into this job and it comes out, oh, this guy was a wife beater, this guy molested some kid. You know what I'm saying? You know, it's shouldn't be surprising, because our own president is a goddamn criminal, all right, that they would hire criminals to do these kinds of things, what they're doing. Because I guess they figure, well, bad people are more likely and more willing to do bad things for money. You know, taking the lesson from, like, the mafia. They do the most heinous shit sometimes for profit. Well, if you can get a whole bunch of people like that together and put them under the banner of ICE, you got yourself a modern-day brown shirt army here, a private little militia just for Trump to send out and, you know, become his avenging angels, as it were, to go after anybody that doesn't like him or anybody who isn't white, you know? So let's go to this video here, and then we'll talk more here on the other side.
This video shows an ICE officer dropping his handgun during an arrest. He appeared to point the gun in the direction of the bystanders after picking it up.
Put the gun down!
Rafael Talisman, who recorded the incident, tells CNN he did not think the agent was going to actually shoot at him.
DHS clearly hasn't been sending in their best, and it's putting all of us in danger, and more ways than one, too.
Stop! Slow down! Slow down! Right now! Stop! 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 Slow down! Stop! Freeze! Release! Put the car in park! Right now! Put the car in park! Release! Put the car in park! Release! Put it in park! Put it in park! Alright? Get out of the park! Turn it off! Get out!
In footage released by LA Taco, this off-duty Border Patrol officer was arrested after holding a teenage U.S. citizen driver at gunpoint in a residential neighborhood after dropping a friend off.
Unfortunately, Mr. recently married back here is not one of those people. He works for ICE, and he is an auditor for them, a civilian employee. When he was arrested, he said, "I'm ICE boys." Well, you know, unfortunately for him, we locked him up, we put him in our jail. He got reappropriated to our jail, and my understanding is he help send people to send federal authorities, I think he's going to see some federal authorities because I think the feds are going to take this case.
While not technically an officer, DHS employee Alexander Back was arrested for getting caught up in a sex trafficking sting weeks ago, showing that the rot within the department goes far deeper than just the agents out in the field.
A South Jersey man has been arrested for impersonating a Homeland Security officer. Turns out, according to Washington Township Police, his wife actually is a Homeland Security police officer who was out of town. He used her marked vehicle to respond to a call he made himself. So the caller, who police later realized was Nicholas Cabral himself, he lives nearby, and he said the door was left wide open. He's in a marked Homeland Security police vehicle and identifies himself as a Homeland Security officer. He goes into the home with the Washington Township police officer, and he's carrying a gun. They do a property check and clear it and talk to the construction crew, who says they accidentally left the door open. And he's not a member of any law enforcement agency, but his wife is, and she was out on a 20-day deployment. And police were able to check the license plate readers and figure out that the vehicle actually hit those LPRs several times while his wife was out of town. At one point, they can tell that he actually activated the police lights as if he was responding to something. So he did have a permit to carry that gun you see in the body cam footage, but he was doing something illegal. So that permit to carry has been revoked and his gun has been seized.
Per reporting from Elizabeth Worthington of ABC6 Philadelphia, even the spouses of DHS agents are taking the law into their own hands, as Nicholas Cabral of New Jersey is facing charges for impersonating a federal agent and possessing a weapon for an unlawful purpose after driving around in his wife's marked DHS cruiser, responding to a property check 911 call with a local police officer while armed, and even stopping at a local Wendy's just for good measure. Here are some other notable lowlights from Donald Trump and Stephen Miller's secret police force. ICE agent Samuel Saxon is facing felonious assault, domestic violence, and strangulation charges. Manuel Perez Jr., a former CBP agent, is facing drug and human smuggling charges along with bribery. Another former CBP agent named Luis Uribe is facing life in prison for sexually assaulting and robbing multiple women while using his service weapon and badge to intimidate them into silence. While this former CBP agent was indicted on 10 counts of child trafficking in addition to 14 other felony charges. Listen, we can keep going and going and going and going and going, but I think you get the point by now. I'm not surprised at all that these agents are facing these charges, okay? I mean, what they're being accused of, right, is disgusting and reprehensible, to abuse your power in that way. And you are such a low-level person, right, to be doing those things. Of course, they're proven guilty. And wouldn't be surprised if all of them are found guilty, right? Because we know how they get down. And this isn't just some bad apples situation, right? It's more so a reflection of what our law enforcement culture incentivizes and celebrates. And it does not incentivize or celebrate, protecting the community and keeping people out of harm's way. No, it incentivizes and celebrates abusing people, right? Violating their rights. And just thinking you can get away with anything. And it happens every single day. Sometimes we don't even see it on camera, right? So no, we're not surprised. And again, this isn't just, oh yeah, a few of them are bad. Not at all.
I want you all to remember the men and women around us in uniform, they're patriots. They put their lives on this country, lives in jeopardy every day when they wear that gun, put that Kevlar vest on. Throughout my career, I've buried Border Patrol agents, I've buried ICE agents. I'm begging the politicians, the governors, the mayors who constantly attack these men and women, please stop. I don't want to bury anybody else. It's not a joke. We're all there enforcing the laws. I want you to remember, 3 o'clock this morning, I bet every one of you will be sleeping comfortable in your bed. These men and women will be standing on a dirt trail someplace because a sensor went off. Is it just someone coming for better life? Or is it a heavily armed drug smuggler? They don't know, but they're going to take it on. Every night across this nation. God bless the men and women of ICE, CBP, and all federal law enforcement that's involved in creating the most secure border and historic deportation operation. God bless all of them. God bless this country. We're doing the right thing. There's a reason me and Rodney came out of retirement to do this. Because we believe we're saving lives every day. The men and women of ICE and Border Patrol are patriots. Hard stop.
Listen, anybody who has a working brain and thinks critically shouldn't take Holman's words at face value, because we see how your agents get down. We know what their agenda is. And they're not about being patriots. Patriots do not just run up out of nowhere and snatch people off the street, right? With their faces covered, right? Don't identify themselves and violate people's rights and violate their bodies by attacking them, by questioning them in horrific ways, okay? And we also should question his logic and reasoning for why he decided to go along with Trump's white nativist immigration policies. But we know why, okay? It's really clear to see. But it's interesting, it's a change in attitude, right? Please stop. It went from we'll throw you in jail to please stop. Please stop doing this. But you got no issue with what your agents do, okay? Because you're helping them become tools of oppression. And clearly they don't have any anxiety or issues with what they're doing. Of course, it's not every single one, but there is enough evidence out there to let us know that they are not patriots. They're not. Patriots do not commit to that type of behavior. All right? For Rebel HQ, I'm Chris Williamson. We'll see you next time.
Okay, let me read this here. Pam Bondi had something really sarcastic, or what she thinks is smart to say here to people. She issued a threat, I guess, to Minnesota, saying that unless you want this violence here to escalate with ICE and your people, you will hand over your voter rolls to the Trump administration. Allow the Civil Rights Division, basically of the Department of Justice, to access the voter rolls to confirm that Minnesota's voter registration practices comply with federal law as authorized by the Civil Rights Act of 1960. Okay, so in other words, they're gunning to get people's names in that state. For election tampering, could be a reason, all right, because they I guess they figure that, they know what's coming if they have their midterm elections. Who knows? But really, 2 people dead, 3 people dead in that state over goddamn voter rolls is what you want? I don't think so. That's small potatoes, especially to a guy who doesn't care about election consequences. He'll just declare victory and tell everybody go fuck themselves, okay? This is not what this is about. I really don't think it is. I think this is about Pam Bondi trying to manipulate Governor Walz, and because they don't like him. They're trying to give him this false sense that, I can put a stop to this if I give him this information. No, it won't stop there. Okay, that's not what this is about. This is not what this is about. All right? The fucking voter rolls don't have a fucking, out of one state, what the hell difference is, and if there was any shit wrong with the election system in that state, believe me, with all the Republicans that have run for office through that state, got elected to positions through that state, that would have come out way, way long back, okay? I'm sorry. But there's no way that if there was that much fucking disaster in the electoral in that state, that it would have gone hidden like this, okay? And I know what some of you people are going to say, well, they didn't know about the fucking scandal that was going on with all the money. Okay, again, that was something that they're dealing with now, okay? It came out, right? So you think they could keep something quiet about, a big voter roll scandal going on in that? You think they could have kept that quiet? No. It came out. It would have come out by now. But this bullshit here about Pam Bondi, saying, oh, I want your voter rolls and stuff. For what? Leverage to keep a state or something? I mean, they're going to lose across the board here with a lot of places. I mean, it won't matter what states they still have if they have any. I mean, it's, what are they going to do? Try to steal Minnesota so they can escape to that? I don't get it. Okay? I don't think anybody in MAGA even gives a shit about the voter rolls in that state anyway. So the idea that she brought that up is very bizarre. Okay? It's like saying, well, we'll stop the violence if you give us all the food you feed your cats. Okay, so we can make sure that they're eating the right food. That's about as much sense as what she said here makes to me. Okay? What's that got to do with the tea, the cost of tea in China? It really doesn't make any difference. Okay.
What the fuck is wrong with you? People, the fuck is wrong with you? Honestly.
I want to remind everybody of a Truth Social post Donald Trump put out not that long ago, where he said, Iranian patriots, keep protesting, take over your institutions, save the names of the killers and abusers. They will pay a big price. Meanwhile, in the country that I can't even fucking say governs. Meanwhile, in the country that he terrorizes, citizens of this country are being executed for recording on their cell phones in the street. I want you to hear that. The people out there who cry over a flag being burned or a black man kneeling for an anthem. Two things that merely symbolize the very document that you are applauding being torn to shreds right now. Do you understand that? I mean, you're all fucking traitors. You are all traitors. At first, it starts off with you being a traitor to humanity, right? Because of papers. So I guess the next logical progression is becoming traitors to your fellow citizens. That's how fascists operate, right? On to the next. I mean, every single person that is unjustly murdered by this government is just another nail in the coffin of your own moral authority. Do you understand that? And the crazy thing about all of this is one day you are going to swear up and down that you were against this. But history will remember. I will remember. I just want to say one thing to this administration. That every single ounce of blood that is shed and stains the moral fabric of this country awakens 1,000 more hearts. This tactic that you are using to gain power by fear is not sustainable. Because a government, a country that is built on fear, collapses the second people start waking up. So if you have been asleep this entire fucking time, it is time to wake up.
Okay, welcome back. I have this article here from Jacobian.com, written by Ben Burgess, entitled, Trump and ICE are driving the country off a cliff. The Trump administration's secret police force has again murdered someone in broad daylight and is blatantly lying about it. It's time to abolish ICE. ICE's violent, lawless conduct in Minneapolis has no place in a democratic society. Alex Pretti was an intensive care unit nurse at a Veterans Affairs hospital in Minneapolis. One of his colleagues there told the New York Times that the quote-unquote default look on his face was a smile. Now he's dead at the age of 37, the same age as Renee Good, who was murdered a little over 2 weeks earlier in the same city. Both were American citizens. Both were shot to death by federal agents in the streets of Minneapolis while they were unarmed. Subsequent statements by the Department of Homeland Security, which includes ICE and the Border Patrol, have emphasized that Pretti had a gun on him at the beginning of the altercation. But Minneapolis Police Chief Brian O'Hara has said that Pretti, who had no criminal record, had a valid permit to carry the gun, and the video evidence is decisive. He never tried to pull it, and it had already been confiscated before they killed him. Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem said, quote, I don't know of any peaceful protester that shows up with a gun and ammunition rather than a sign, unquote. But this is extraordinarily disingenuous. And not just because openly brandishing guns is very common in protests held by the American right. And even if it had still been on his person when he was shot, it would have been entirely irrelevant. We haven't repealed the Second Amendment and passed a law mandating that everyone caught with a handgun can be executed on the spot, even if they never draw it. He was holding neither a gun nor a protest sign, but a phone. He was there as a legal observer, using his phone to record what the agents were doing and deter them from committing abuses, a form of civic engagement that's entirely legal under the First Amendment. The agents only found the gun after he'd been knocked to the ground and brutalized for the crime of trying to help a woman who'd been knocked over and pepper sprayed near him just moments before. It's worth emphasizing that we know all this because the murder occurred on a crowded street in broad daylight, filmed by multiple people. The DHS's statement, never quite claiming he had drawn the gun but vaguely gesturing at a quote-unquote violent struggle, and the officer who shot him supposedly fearing for, quote, his life and the lives and safety of his fellow officers, unquote, is unlikely to be believed by anyone who watches any of those videos. Indeed, one of the most striking parts of all this is that these particular lies don't exactly seem to be intended to be believed. Instead, it feels like the point is just to give the hardcore supporters of the current administration something to hang their hat on when a quote-unquote libtard tries to give them a hard time about this. Better to say something anyone with access to the internet can see for themselves isn't true than to be left with nothing to say at all. But this feels like a few steps from simply bragging about killing Pretti for being an annoying, disobedient thorn in the agent's side. After Renee Good was murdered, opinion polls showed that only about a third, and in some polls far less than a third, of the public believed the administration's story. That didn't stop Vice President J.D. Vance from relentlessly smearing Good, a mother who was shot while trying to drive herself and her wife and the family dog away from the scene as a, quote, domestic terrorist, unquote. It didn't stop several ICE agents in the ensuing weeks, some of whom seemed to have known they were being filmed, from chiding protesters and observers for not learning their, quote-unquote, lesson after what happened to Good, clearly insinuating that it might be time for a repeated performance. In any normal administration, the public relations catastrophe following Good's murder would have led to some attempt to draw back and do damage control. The Trump administration had the opposite reaction, seemingly wanting to push the spiral of escalation further and further down the road to chaos. Thus far, the restraint and unity shown by the overwhelming majority of the protesters in Minneapolis is remarkable. There have been mass demonstrations, an impromptu strike called by local organized labor, and an abundance of people filming ICE and the Border Patrol and letting them know that they aren't welcome and that no one plans to make it easy for them to drag away their friends and neighbors. But there seems to be a widespread understanding that giving them an excuse for further mayhem would be a very bad idea. Even so, the more lawless and violent the behavior of masked and therefore totally unaccountable ICE agents become, and the more the Trump administration pours gas on the fire by smearing anyone and everyone they victimize as a quote-unquote terrorist, the more likely it is that some misguided individuals will meet violence with violence. What comes next is anyone's guess. Trump is already talking about the Insurrection Act. If we've learned anything from recent weeks, when the Trump administration has done everything from brazenly kidnapping a foreign head of state and openly saying that they did it in part in order to gain control of his country's oil, to threatening to seize territory from a NATO ally by force, to calling a murdered mother a domestic terrorist, it should be the simple and frightening truth that no one knows what limits there are or aren't willing to go to. We know that the Trump administration is driving the country off the edge of a cliff. We know that they pressed the gas pedal all the way to the floor of the car. We don't know what's waiting for us at the bottom of the cliff, but there's every chance we're going to find out. So, yeah, this is, like I said, an op-ed piece. I guess I don't know if I said that or not, but yeah, pretty well lays out, where we stand right now. And like I said, this is not a good thing, and people really shouldn't, what can I say, ignore the warning signs that are there. And I hope that people, I hope they're keeping tabs on this stuff. I realize that the news is dark these days. It really is, okay? I can understand people saying, I've had enough of the news. I don't want to hear any more of it, okay? That's usually the time when you got to listen, okay? And I know I'm asking a lot of people, but thank God we have the internet in a way, because, we can just glance at it a little bit at a time instead of sitting in front of the TV and just absorbing the fucking bad news for minutes and hours, okay, each day. We can actually go online and get, the current stuff happening. And if we care to know more, we can learn more. But certainly, I don't want people to just throw their hands up in the air and say, I don't care. I want people to care. I want people to understand where we are, because when people understand, they make better choices. They really do. Information is king in this country, and it's got to be factual. It can't be lies. It's got to be factual. And right now, there are more lies than there is truth out there circulating around our country here, because you've got Trump desperately trying to find some footing in order to justify the shit that's going on. I mean, he's really trying hard, and he's got everybody out there, pounding the pavement, spinning the news, doing everything that he can to cover his dismal shit that he's got going on in this country. And I feel like, that's, when you have more lies going out instead of the truth, that's propaganda. That is definitely propaganda, because they're trying to tell you what you saw, you didn't see. They keep saying that. I mean, I don't know why. Maybe it's from that. Maybe Trump read that book 1984 a lot, because he seems to be following that thing like it's a Bible. You know, he does everything that was mentioned in that story. He does it now. Okay? He doesn't want people to fucking think of the truth as being really the truth. That's why he calls the media the fake news and all this stuff. He's been for a long time trying to put in people's head, don't trust information coming your way. But yet, he wants people to listen to his information or his lies going out. So you can't tell people not to listen and then listen. Okay? Because they're not going to know whether to shit or get off the pot. You either tell people not to listen, okay, or you just argue the facts. But these two things cannot coexist. People are going to get their information one way or another, and boy, I'll tell you right now, people on the right, the extreme right, they got information coming out their ears, whether it's truth or not. I mean, you should read the comments on some of these articles here that I read to you. These people know everything. I mean, some of these people are lawyers, some of them are doctors, some of them are criminologists. These people know everything, and they try to argue every fucking side they can, even though their arguments are as thin as sheet of paper. Okay, that's what these people do. They got, I don't know, some of the stuff they get their information from obviously is crap, but they tout that as a trophy, the golden nugget, that's going to exonerate everything. It's silly. It really is crazy, and it's scary too, because only in Hollywood would anyone ever sit down and watch a movie and see, the story play out where everybody has to be completely twisted in order for the story to actually happen. But now we're seeing that, these authors and writers, they weren't off the mark. People are just like that. Like when you watch, let's take the movie Jaws. I mean, a lot of Steven Spielberg's movies, and it has people in it. The people are always like fucking idiots. Okay, I don't know. Maybe he has a low opinion of society, but people, in his movies are like, just ditzy, and so I think, I watch that and say, well, that was the way, Hollywood did things. But you know what? We aren't that far off of that. We are just like that. We could actually be just like that, the ditzy population behind the story, okay? Because without us, this story would not even happen, okay? The Trump thing, ICE, all the stuff, everything we're living through right now would not have happened if people were smarter and not so stupid, okay? So somewhere along the way, Spielberg picked up on that at an early age. He was ahead of the curve. He knew exactly what humans were like. We're a bunch of idiots, okay? And we can't tell shit from Shinola because we just don't fucking know what's good for us. We think we do, but we don't. All right? And the proof is, here we are. I mean, I don't care what Republicans say to that, okay? Because they can't argue where we are right now. The reality is right here. This is the end result of that kind of fucking thinking, or lack thereof, okay? This is where we are. Okay? So, I feel like, it's sad that, people are dying. And it's a little bit unhinged in a way that people are caring so much for these deaths as opposed to the children who died in schools over the decades. Okay? Yeah, it got people upset then, but it's only during these two deaths here where it seems people are actually taking to the street and challenging the killers of these two people and making their life a living hell. I mean, it's just, if we'd have done more of that back in the days of the school shootings and stuff, maybe it might have pushed things a little further to get taken care of. It might have got the politicians' ire up, enough to try to do something to shut people up, okay? That's probably would have been a good thing. But it's only now where so many people's lives are being affected because it's attached to this shit that people in big numbers are coming out. thinking, it was affecting us all even then when the school shootings were happening. All of us. I mean, we all live near schools, okay? And a lot of us have seen the school shootings, witnessed them and stuff like that. And just because it happened in one town doesn't mean it's not going to happen in your town or in another town next to yours, okay? It was a national crisis. I mean, and this here is also a national crisis. But like I said, it's just too bad that we aren't as committed to solving this mess as we were trying to be for the different school shootings. And and in that case, the Republicans were standing in the way then, and the Republicans are standing in the way now over this. So the party of death clearly is their title. They support death in this country. They really do. Okay? It doesn't matter if it's the only time they won't support it is when it's a fetus. Okay? But once that fetus is born, then it's okay to put a gun to its head and blow it away. Okay? They don't care about that. It's just it's got to be only you can't have an abortion. But hey, if you have the kid and you want to kill it, go ahead. We don't care. I mean, it's just that's just that crazy the way these people think. Okay, it really is just that crazy. So, like I said, they are the party of death. As much as they want to blame it on Democrats and say, you guys are killing, no. You are the ones that are the party of death. You support it. You don't care where it comes from. Okay, you are all about it. I don't know where that comes from. Maybe you were abused when you grew up at home. Maybe you were molested. I don't know. As gullible as you people are, I would imagine it was probably easy to make one of you a victim of something when you were younger. And maybe that's how you grew up, with hatred and rage about what happened to you. And so you want everybody to die. Everybody should suffer for what happened to me. Maybe that's how it starts. And then you attach a religious tag to it, calling that Christianity. Then all of a sudden you think you're a Christian. Okay? I don't know. But like I said, people are as dumb as Steven Spielberg kind of made them out to be in his stories. Okay? So it may be just that simple. It may be just that simple. I can't imagine that it being any big fucking grand notion or anything like that that would explain all this away. I think people still react on the basic emotions. I see it all the time when I'm watching these police videos on the TV. We are still just a couple steps away from being barbaric cavemen, okay, in all respects. We're trying to evolve. We're trying to be civilized, and it's such an effort. It really is. I mean, a lot of us just can't seem to do it. We try to be civilized. We make laws that we expect that we'll follow. And as soon as they start to get in our way because of our emotions, all of a sudden now we're not civilized and we want to be barbaric, cavemen all over again. Okay? And a good example of that is Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein. Okay? These are people who could not live with the rules imposed in society on how to behave, as a civilized human being. They couldn't stand that. It was getting in the way of their personal pleasure. All right? So they break the law. They cross the line. They do all these things. And, and now they're kind of opening the floodgates and letting more people enjoy that lack of accountability, that lack of civility, basically telling them, have fun. Go out there and rampage and pillage and rape and do all the shit you want to do, okay? And these people, for $50,000 or $60,000, if they've got no conscience, hey, that's great. We'll do it. It's amazing that there's people that are like that. They'll take, they'll take out a whole fucking city for $60,000. I mean, that's just how they are. You find criminals to do this job and they will do it. So, yeah, anyway, that's it for today. So I hope everybody has a great work week. So subscribe, comment, share, keep your ears open for health issues, and help each other out, watch each other's back, and be careful out there if you're going to confront ICE, okay? I realize for some of you, you probably don't have that much patience dealing with them if seeing them just irritates you and angers you. But this is a time, I guess, when you have to really feed your anger with some kind of reason and logic, if you can, to decide when is the time, the right time to step in, or when is it not, okay? Because you got to remember, the people you're dealing with, they're not going to take that moment and try to understand or try to rationalize or anything. They're just acting on emotion, raw emotion, okay? The way these people were executed, it was just a thought, okay? Like they were playing a video game. When you see kids playing video games where they're shooting people, the same look on that guy's face was the same as you would see on a kid playing a video game, okay? Doesn't mean anything. They're just an avatar, you know. Hey, oh, I killed somebody. You know, I get points. That's how they look at this. So that's why I'm saying we got to be careful of that, because these people are obviously thinking on a different line that we can't understand, because none of us would do what they did. All right, at least I hope so. Those of us that are protesting, I don't think any of us would be willing to just take somebody's life because they might have said something that, or looked at me wrong, or whatever the hell it was that provoked this, okay? So be careful out there, really. And I'll talk to you guys later. Take care. Bye-bye.